Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're getting into something really fascinating. It's all about honeybee diplomacy. We're talking about one of the most high-stakes operations out there, a royal succession inside the hive.
So think about this. How do you convince like 50,000 bees to accept a brand new ruler? It's a question that every beekeeper has to tackle, and let me tell you, it's way more complicated than it sounds. This isn't just a simple hello, it's this super delicate negotiation. You get it wrong and you're looking at regicide and the whole colony could just collapse. The stakes are incredibly high.
I mean, if it works, you've got a thriving hive. The new queen gets to work laying thousands of eggs every single day, and the future is secure. But if it fails, well, they'll kill her, and the colony just spirals downwards. So yeah, let's break down exactly how you pull off a successful coronation.
Okay, so here's what we're going to cover. First, what it means for a hive to even need a queen. Then, how you prepare for her big arrival. We'll look at the conditions for acceptance, what to do if things go wrong, and finally, how to make sure her new reign is solid.
All right, first things first. Before you can even think about bringing in a new queen, the colony has to know it's in trouble. They have to feel that desperation. Beekeepers call it being queenless or orphaned, and getting them into that state of crisis, that's the absolute first step.
And that leads us to a really critical rule of thumb. The hive has to be queenless for at least 24 hours, a full day. That period of uncertainty, it makes the worker bees really anxious, you know? They get desperate for that stability that only a new queen can bring. The longer they go without one, the more they're going to want one.
Okay, so it's not as simple as just swapping them out. You can't just drop a new queen in and cross your fingers. Nope. There's this whole diplomatic protocol you've got to follow to get the kingdom ready for her. And these 3 steps, they are totally non-negotiable. First, you create that power vacuum we talked about. Second, you make sure the bees can't just make their own replacement. And third, you get rid of any other rivals to the throne. Let's dig into those last 2 a bit more.
Now, this might sound a little harsh, but it is so important. If you leave behind any eggs or young larvae, the worker bees have a plan B. They'll just pick one of those larvae, start feeding it a special diet of royal jelly, and raise their own queen from scratch.
And that just shows you a basic rule of bee society. They will almost always prefer their own bloodline over a stranger. Always. So if you want them to accept your queen, you have to take away their ability to promote from within. You leave them no other choice.
Step 3 is just as critical. You have to find and destroy every single one of these things called queen cells. They look kind of like peanuts hanging off the comb. These are where new queens are raised. Even a half-built one is a huge red flag. It means the bees are already trying to make their own monarch. Every single one is a rival claim to the throne, and they all have to go.
But here's the thing. Even if you do all that preparation perfectly, success still isn't a sure thing. You also have to be a bit of a bee psychologist. You have to read the mood of the hive. Some things just make a colony way more likely to roll out the welcome mat.
And believe it or not, demographics are a huge part of it. If you've got a hive full of young nurse bees, they tend to be more chill and accepting. But a hive full of older, grizzled forager bees, they're usually a lot more defensive and, frankly, suspicious of any newcomers.
And here's something that might surprise you. You'd think a massive, super strong hive would be the best, right? Wrong. They're often the hardest to requeen. They can just be too chaotic, too aggressive. The real sweet spot is a medium-sized colony. They're stable, but they're not so powerful that they get, overly defensive about everything. And then there are a few other things that can really tip the scales in your favor. A well-fed hive is a happy hive. If they have tons of honey and pollen, they're just more relaxed and accepting. Also, they definitely prefer a mated queen over a virgin one, someone who's already proven she can do the job. And finally, using a slow, indirect introduction is key. You put her in a little cage inside the hive for a few days. That lets her scent spread around and gives everyone a chance to get used to her before she's fully released.
Okay, so you've done everything right. The hive is queenless, there are no other heirs, the vibe seems good, but what happens if it all goes south? What if the bees decide this new queen isn't their leader but an invader?
This is a beekeeper's absolute nightmare. It's called balling. The worker bees just swarm her. They form this tight, vibrating ball of bodies all around her. And they're not giving her a welcome hug. They are trying to kill her by stinging her and literally cooking her alive with their combined body heat. It is a violent, instant no. If you see this happening, you have to move and move fast. The go-to move is to use heavy puffs of smoke on the ball. That usually breaks up their attack and forces them to scatter. Then you can carefully get the queen out of there,
check on her, and maybe even try again later after covering her in honey to disguise her scent. All right, but let's imagine it all went smoothly. The introduction was peaceful, the queen is out of her cage, and she's walking among her new subjects. You'd think the job is done, right? Not quite. The first few days are absolutely critical to make sure this new reign is actually going to stick.
And this is where patience is just everything. You've got to give her time to settle in and start doing her main job, which is laying eggs. If she was already mated, you can probably take a peek after about 4 days to see if she started. But if she was a virgin queen, you have to wait even longer, like a week or more, to give her time to go on her mating flights and come back.
And this is so important. You have to resist the urge to keep checking on her. Every single time you open up that hive, you're causing a major disturbance. All that stress can actually make the bees reject a queen they've already accepted. Seriously. The best thing you can do is just trust the process and leave them alone.
So when you think about it, successfully getting a hive to accept a new queen, it's not just beekeeping, is it? It's really a masterclass in social dynamics. It shows you that accepting new leadership is never a given. It takes careful prep, the right conditions, and a real understanding of what a community needs and wants. It's a pretty powerful reminder that even in the most organized societies on Earth, a change in leadership is always a fragile and really momentous event.